So again, this is a special Sunday. This is the first Sunday of Advent. And it is the first Sunday of the new year, according to the Christian calendar. This is the first day of the new year. And it's interesting how they organize things, because how we begin this year is a season of Advent, a season of preparation. A little bit different from our New Year's Eve, fiscally, I guess you could call it. You know, where you go out and party and be with friends and perhaps stay up late, and then boom, you're in the new year, like that. This is different. We have actually a season of preparation that begins that year before we actually get to one of the highlights of that year, which we celebrate on December 25th. So it starts the year with anticipation, with preparation, a time to look ahead and prepare not only our minds but our hearts for spiritual renewal, for the coming of the Christ child, for remembering that Christ presence that lives within us. So it's a very, very important block of time that we are entering into right now. Unity prepares us a booklet each year called Advent. This one, God's Gift to You. And we will be handing these out later in the service. And what you will find in these is a daily reading for every single day, starting with today and ending with January 6th, Epiphany. There's a daily reading, and what you will see is that there is a word for each Sunday of Advent. And today's word is hope. And then we have peace, and then love, and then joy. And then, as someone remembered here this morning, one of the children, Christmas. So hope is the word for the day. Hope is the foundation from which we enter this time of year. Hope is the place that we begin from. It is the place we set the stage with hope. So have you ever had hopes and dreams? And I was thinking back, I'm sure we all have, and they change in our lives. As children, we have hopes, that we hope that the tooth fairy will bring us something, when our teeth are loose. Or I remember my sister just wanting a horse for years and years and years, just really wanting a horse. And then these things change as we enter into our teens and our 20s and as we go on in life. And sometimes we have lots of hopes in different areas. We have hopes and dreams as far as our jobs go, or our career, our profession, our education, our health, our relationships. Usually we have these hopes and dreams everywhere in our lives, and they're all kind of interspersing. And what you've probably noticed is that some of them came true, and some of them were not realized. Another experience we may have had is when we've shared those hopes with other people that, they didn't support us in those. And that perhaps they even discouraged us from some of those dreams. Or perhaps even, trampled on them. So some of these dreams were realized and some weren't. And so sometimes we come to a point in our life where you just give up hope. It's just like, I tried to do this and I tried to do this and it never works out. Hope only creates disappointment. So when I look back in my life at times of intense disappointment, I see something now that I hadn't seen before. What I realize now is that I was relying on something outside of myself to make my dreams come true, to give me what I wanted. And what also I realized when I look back at these things, that I was putting my hopes and expectancies on outer events and on other people and other circumstances, and guess what? Those are out of my control. And I was pinning my hopes on something that I had no control over. Sometimes they worked and sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they came true, sometimes not. No wonder I was disappointed so many times. Because it was, my expectancy and what I desired was tied in with what other people did or what happened in my life. So hope is not a longing for something. That's its shadow, sister, or its shadow is expectation. And expectation is a different thing than hope. Of course, I knew when I was going to be speaking this Sunday that the word for the day was hope. I started thinking a lot about hope and meditating on it and reading on it and thinking, hope and expectation, that's kind of the same thing. And what I realized is there is a big difference between hope and expectation. We all have expectations. You may have an expectation that, if I exercise and I eat well and I sleep well, that I will live a long and healthy life. As people could say, yeah, that's a reasonable expectation. But the truth is, it may happen and it may not. Those things are beyond our control. Or we could say, I've put all my energy and my time into this company, and I know that I'll get raises, and I know when I retire I'll get a pension. People could say, yeah, that's a reasonable expectation. You can count on that. And the truth is, it may happen or it may not. That company may go bankrupt, that company may lay you off. And if our sense of who we are and our worth and our security and our safety are tied up with outer things, we've given away our power. We've let, like a ship without anchor, we could just get blown wherever the circumstances take us. We've let the outer things run and control how we feel about ourselves and what and our sense of those inner things that we have in our heart, a sense of security and love and compassion and strength. We're giving all that power away to things that are beyond our control. So expectations take us into the future. Expectations take us away from ourselves. And when we live in that place of expectation, sometimes, when we did the Eye of the Storm series last year, that hurricane, and there's the Eye of the Storm, when we let our expectations be tied in with how we feel about ourselves, we are going to get tossed about. Anybody ever feel like, you kind of got whipped around a little bit by circumstances or people? Now, hope is a different story. Hope is a gift from God. Hope lives within us. It is not outside of us. No one can give us hope. Hope already lives in all its power, in all its glory, already within us. We do not need to ask for it. We do not need to look outside of ourselves for it. We do not need to earn it. It's infinite because it's part of our connection with the divine. It's part of our connection with Spirit. There is no, you can't use it up. Think, well, I used a lot of my hopes in my childhood, and I'm out of hope. I've given up on hope. And I'm not saying that we don't feel like that, or that I haven't felt like that. But the truth is that hope still lives within us. It cannot be separated from us, because it's a part of our divine nature. Hope stays in the mystery of life. It stays in the now. It stays in the present. It's not connected with anything in the future or the past. It's not connected with anything outside of ourselves. Because we can't act in the future. We can't do something in the past. So it's impossible. So when we stay centered in the now and we access that gift of hope, then that is the foundation. And I can see why that is the first Sunday of Advent. That's the place where we start from. That's the place that opens up all possibilities. That makes us think again, you know what? When we're in touch with that inner hope, I could do this. I could be this. When we're talking about possibilities and staying open-ended and open-minded and being present in the now, I came across this little quote, and it says, George Shearing, who had been born blind, was once asked whether he had been blind all of his life. And his reply, not yet. Now that statement comes from the source of hope. That statement is a now statement. That comes from not expectations, but just that pool of hope that lives within us. Because hope is open-ended, and it illuminates our future. It shows us where the next step could be. When we start from that place, it's the fuel that gets us excited about the next place. That's what brings us forward, is hope.